What's up, fam? How y'all doing, man? Welcome to TSC Unleashed, Monday edition. We're in the building. Game day edition, man. The Saints in the building. Vegas. Saints Raiders is going down tonight. We got you covered on the TSC virtual tailgate. Then on the back end, we got you with the recap. So what's up to the family members in the live stream? Big ups to you on this one. I'm Big Q chiming in for TSC Unleashed. We got Uncle Mozzie on the phone. What's going on, Uncle Mozzie?
Yes, I am here. How you doing?
Big
I should be broadcasting live and direct from Las Vegas, but unfortunately, the entire city of New Orleans out there couldn't find a plane ticket.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, man. We in the building everywhere right now. And listen, I've been saying it for a while. There's a lot of black and gold people in Las Vegas. Let me tell you what. And they was there before the Raiders got there. So let me tell you something, man. We everywhere. Anyway, you know how it is, Uncle Mozzie. You know black and gold, yep. Man. We travel well, man, really well. But anyway, big ups to the family members in the chat. GM Kev in the building. Brother Jerry's in the building. Kai the Great is in the building. J Rock is in the building. What's up, fam? What's going on to y'all? Thank y'all for joining us for TSC Unleashed. In this Monday edition of TSC Unleashed, you know, after the weekend, it's always a lot to talk about. We got the NBA conference finals. We'll go over both those finals. Then we'll recap those. We'll get into NFL talk. We'll go over all the NFL scores of the day. We'll talk about that today on the show. We'll also go into the injury news that happened in the NFL as well. And then on the back end of the broadcast, we'll then hit you with some college scores of the top 25. It's going down. So big ups to JT joining in the Monday TSC Unleashed. And we're going to get going. It's going to start it up first and foremost with the NBA, man. Let me tell you something, man. When at first, and I talked to Uncle Mozzie about this when the Nuggets and the Lakers got together, I was like, man, are Lakers going to do this thing where they lose the first game and then sweep the team? The Lakers said we ain't having none of it. The Lakers in the Friday matchup, they were able to beat. It was a very entertaining game, by the way. On the Friday matchup, 126-114 in the matchup. AD 37 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Jamal Murray had 21 points and 5 assists as the top performers of those on that day of action. And then you jump to what happened Sunday with the Lakers, man. And that was a game the Nuggets should have had. Anthony Davis, last minute, Kobe Bryant style buzzer hitter with the Joker's hand in his face. He just knocks it down. The man 7 feet tall. Got a jump shot like an off guard, man. He knocked the shot down. The Lakers move ahead 2-0 on the Nuggets. Uncle Mozzie's not happy about that. You know he's not. Andy Davis finished the game 31 points, 9 rebounds. He was 11 of 23, 2 of 4 from downtown, 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 31 points, 9 rebounds for AD. LeBron James, 26 in the matchup, 11 rebounds, 4 assists in 36 minutes, 10 of 20 from the field, 3 of 8 from downtown, 3 of 4 from the field. Man, listen. And then the only other guys that were in double figures were Danny Green, who had 11 points, and KCP. He had 11 points. Everybody else was in single digits for the Lakers, but it was obviously enough. Looking at what the Nuggets did, Jamal Murray, 25 points in the matchup in 44 minutes, 8 of 19 from the field, 2 of 9 from downtown. He struggled there. 7 of 8 from the free throw line. The Joker, 30 points in the matchup, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, 39 minutes. He was 9 of 20 from the field, 1 of 4 from downtown, but he did hit 11 of 12 from the free throw line. 15 points off the bench from Michael Porter Jr. in 20 minutes. And I kept saying, who's going to be the third scorer for the Nuggets? Because guess what? They need a third scorer because Gary Harris, he is hot and cold running water. He only had 3 points in the matchup in 25 minutes. This disgraceful. Paul Millsap, 6 points in the matchup in 28 minutes. Totally disgraceful. Who's going to be the third scorer? They're going to need somebody besides Murray and the Joker to take down AD and LeBron James. Okay, Mozzie, I'm gonna take a break, man, because I know you got a lot to talk about with this matchup. Because Nuggets are your team, and the Nuggets have been looking good, but right now they're looking kind of cooked. They ain't looking like the Denver Nuggets. They're looking like the Denver McNuggets right now against the Lakers. What you got to say for that, buddy?
Well, in the words of my good friend Five Monster Bill, let me show you something.
Yeah, he really said, "Let me tell you something."
Right, yeah, this is a classic case right here. This is a classic case right here. I mean, I'm gonna just say this, right? These people are just trying to feel their way out, trying to figure out exactly where they're gonna land. As you can see, each contest we get closer and closer to the finish line and get closer to beat these people. So let's not delve too far off into what's already happened and the fact that they've already lost 2 games. We're gonna just like kind of skirt around that because we both watched the same game. You couldn't have defended that any better. First off, I really want to say that play was masterful. It wasn't even for AD, that final play. That play was really for LeBron. It was on the discretion of Rondo to kind of throw it in, and AD had a horrible second half as he normally does. I mean, LeBron had a horrible second half as he so often does.
You know, AD got his back.
Yeah, he didn't want no parts of it, right? So AD came around and said, "Man, look, swing it to me. I got it." And he launched it, man. And I saw the Joker came, but that wasn't on the Joker because the Joker was actually facing Rondo, trying to guard the inbound. Right. So he had to pivot to go and check the guy, but the original guy got lost on LeBron. Didn't want any parts of going to jump out and check AD, so he tried to swing him off the pick to go out there and try to get LeBron's defender to shift. But who's going to leave LeBron open when we're already playing for a possible lob to the bucket down by 1? So you're guarding AD and LeBron because both of them have the ability to catch and shoot, especially in the paint or in the lane. And all they needed was a little runner or a floater to kind of close the game out and win by 1. So that's what you're trying to prevent. But at the end of the day, you can't account for a 7-footer that kind of ran completely around the arc and kind of peeled the top off the defense and got everybody jammed up. And then your best player has to come out and then try to defend the shot. So the issue that I see we're having, yes, we do need a third score, but we also need that overall team effort and grit that's going to kind of stop. See, because you expect these type of plays from AD and you expect these type of plays to come from LeBron. But then when you start getting other people involved and you get other guys going, like Caruso had a monster dunk that LeBron and the whole Lakers sideline got up and kind of started chest bumping and kind of rejoicing over. And there's no crowd, no, but you make a crowd or you form a crowd when you allow those type of high impact, high power plays to get off. The whole purpose of the crowd is to kind of incite a riot and kind of give confidence that may or may not be there to a team. So when Caruso comes down and does the one hawk tomahawk chop, especially being a white guy coming down and dunking something we don't really see often in the league like that, wide open, and he came down and he had it damn near 2-3 feet behind his head and just yanked it. Then it was the fact that he almost made a poster. LeBron, the whole Lakers bench, everybody got up and it was excited. And that one play did the exact same thing a crowd would have done had they been playing in Staples. You can't give them that kind of motivation. You can't give them kind of motivation. You can't give them that kind of lift. They don't need it. They don't need it. So when you give it to them, then you couple that with the turnovers. And the thing that killed us last night and killed us game 1, not AD, not the fact we didn't have a third option, not the fact nobody really wants to step up on D, which I'm really surprised at Millsap, because Millsap is supposed to be our enforcer, and he's not really doing a good job enforcing, and they got people breaking all kind of laws. So I say that to say we have to do a much better job at the charity stripe, bro. How many free throws do I didn't even see the final stat. I got disgusted, but I know we had that. We probably missed anywhere between 7 and 10 free throws and lost the game by 2. So those free throws were kind of late. I can remember specifically when we were trying to catch them in the third quarter, and we had closed the lead down to I want to say 2 or 3. We go to the line and we 1-on-1, and we went again and we were 0 for 2. on the back end, that's going to be a killer. You can't see, and those are the nuances that separates really good teams from dynasties. Denver is a really good team with the potential to be a championship caliber team, or maybe even a dynasty, especially with LeBron being in year 17. They've already beat the Clippers, so they're not scared of Kawhi, who's arguably the second best player out there. And with the exception of him, you fall down to what, Dame Lillard, and maybe Dallas. But like Denver doesn't see any of these people. In Denver's eyesight, they're the second best team in the West. They're in line to be the next team if they can keep everybody together. They don't have big egos. Everybody plays really good team ball. And at this point, if they can get around the Lakers and exercise that demon before LeBron retires, in the next 2-3 seasons when LeBron decides to hang his jersey up, Denver could pretty much have free reign of that entire Western Conference. Which it'd probably be shared with them in Dallas, because I just don't see anybody. Even with the Clippers,
I don't know. I don't know, Uncle Miles. I don't share your enthusiasm about Denver being dominant, even though I like Denver there. But this could create more. LeBron James is not planning to go away anytime soon. So
3 years is all he got left, man.
Well, but that could be everything to the Denver Nuggets now, because there are other teams that'll be on Denver level or better than Denver in 3 years. You're looking at Dallas with their billing with Wonder Boy himself and several other teams. The Pelicans with a good coach, they'll be looking to challenge in the West as well. So there's several other really intriguing Western Conference teams that within the 3 or 4 year window that'll kind of equate the field. But I like the Denver Nuggets. I like the Joker and how he's playing. But you can see what happens with the Lakers using those 7-footers to move around to cause problems for the Joker. And and then the thing is about the Lakers, they can play small ball, big ball, middle ball, whatever. You can do it. Rondo coming off the bench with his veteran leadership, LeBron doing his thing while he's out there, basically a point forward. And when he makes up his mind to attack the paint, he's a freight train, twisting and twirling to the basket. And if you leave him wide open, he'll bury a 3 on you. So the Nuggets issue right now is not Jokic or Murray. They need a third scorer. Porter had 15 the other night. So can he be the third scorer? That is the thing that's hurting the Nuggets. They got to have a third scorer. They have to unleash Michael Porter Jr. and let him play. He's fantastic. After he's over his injuries, they have to let that guy play. Now let's not to cut you off, but I won't be able to get you insight on this Boston and Miami Heat matchup. Boston was able to sneak a game in there, 117-106. Jason Tatum went off. He had 25 points, 8 assists, and 14 rebounds in this game. He was absolutely spectacular in this matchup. 41 minutes, he was 9 of 20. 2 of 7 from downtown, but solid everywhere else. 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He was absolutely phenomenal. Brown had 26 in the matchup. He had great defensive play. You had 25 from Tatum, 26 from Brown in 43 minutes, 11 for 17 from the field, 1 of 2 from downtown, 3 of 5 from the free throw line. 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists himself. He also had 3 steals and a really nice block, man, on Tyler Hero, which Hero thought he had him, but Brown recovered and still blocked it. Man, let me tell you, these guys are phenomenal when they mind made up. And Kemba added 21 in 41 minutes and 20 from Marcus Smart, which you talked about. If Marcus can give that 20-point outing, it helps them to win the game. Plus, the Celtics defense was on tap against the Heat. They go they're 2-1 now. Bam Adebayo was the top dog there. Jimmy Butler should have went off in this game. He didn't. 6 of 13 from the field in 37 minutes, just 17 points and 8 rebounds in the matchup for him. And really the top dog there was Bam Adebayo. 27 points, 16 rebounds in 38 minutes of action. Bam Adebayo had Jimmy Butler stepped up and gave his regular pointage, hitting that late 28, somewhere in there, 28-30. The Heat could have pushed it up 3-0, but Celtics sneak in there and they get it. They get a victory there, 117-106 over the Heat. The series now is 2-1. Mozzie, thoughts on this one?
Well, first of all, Boston, my mob. Never been no doubt about that. I like Miami too. I like Jimmy Butler and I like Coach Spo. More than the Miami Heat as an organizational team. I'm a fan of those 2 guys. But Boston wasn't going to take this series off or go to sleep on the series. They were going to make their adjustments, and that goes to the veteran leadership, like we had discussed. I want to say on Friday's show when Smart kind of went to let everybody had it and tore it in everybody's ass and was like, "Yo, we're not gonna just take this line down. We've come too far, and these opportunities don't just pop out of the blue every season. We're 4 wins away from going to the finals. That within itself could jumpstart the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. That can create a firestorm where they just hold on to that slot forever. They've already exercised Toronto. Miami's already exercised the demon known as Giannis. So the East is wide open for whoever wants to play. Boston feels as though it's their time. Smart kind of reiterated that. And Smart told them at the end of that game when they had to blow up in the locker room, y'all got to put this, y'all got to figure this out. We got to figure this out. We're not playing Celtics basketball. We're not playing a basketball that got us here, which is why I think Miami's playing well, because they too have a Marcus Smart under veteran leadership known as Jimmy Butler. He's a wily veteran. He's been there a while, and he is kind of the floor general and that locker room glue, that cohesiveness that keeps everybody and everything together, obviously along with Coach Spo. But another thing that I don't want to get too far out ahead of and jump the gun, but Miami was 10-1 since the playoffs started. So again, I'm a man of numbers, and statistics say what goes up must come down, just common sense. And to be 10-1 playing at that level against that level of competition under those conditions, I think that within itself is awesome. So they were bound or due for a loss. Not to say that they're just trash now and Boston has figured them out, but I want everybody to just kind of take a deep breath and understand that after a 10-1 run, they were kind of due for a loss. So we'll really have to see what's going to happen in Game 4 and see if they'll be able to come back and tie it up and see how that works out. And another thing we haven't been able to really watch or pay attention to, but I'm not alarmed at the Denver games, the Denver series, like I'm not alarmed about this series. And I'll tell you why. Because I think one thing that we forget, because there are no home court advantages, but generally speaking, the home court team or the better team, the higher seeded team, statistically, more often than not, they win on their floor. They win the first 2 games, and the visiting team generally wins their next 2 games in a lot of cases. So I don't really get antsy or worried or nervous until Game 3. Game 3 is when everything is on the line, because that would be if you were playing in a regular condition when you would defend your home court. That's when you got 2 games under your belt, you can make your adjustments, and then you got that 6th man known as the crowd and the audience at your back. So let's not delve too deep into this, and let's not say, okay, the Lakers are the champs, or let's not say Boston's figured Miami out. Let's just play it for what it is. We'll see Denver on Game 3 and see if they can kind of make the adjustments and turn the curve, defend their home floor in Games 3 and 4, and we'll see if Boston can do it in Game 4 to even the series at 2 apiece.
We'll see. It's interesting. Like I said, this series is too close to call, man. It really is, because the way both of these teams play, whether it's the Heat or the Celtics, they both they really are almost identical. I mean, you have great coaching on both sides of the fence. They're both disciplined teams. They're both defensive dynamos. They both have pieces that activate off the defense, that are inspired by the defensive plays. They're both disciplined and not turning the ball over too much. I mean, it's just a matter of who wanted more than the other guy. It's too close to call, man. It's a really good series in the Eastern Conference Finals. And like you said, we'll see. We'll see. Game 3 was special, but Game 4, who will take control here? We'll see. Is the will of Miami a dominant will where they will push the pedal to the metal and take a 3-1 lead on the Celtics? We'll see, man. Or if the Celtics got the heart and determination to even the series. We'll speak volumes.
Great for basketball either way, though.
Yes.
Either way is great for basketball.
It is
if
excellent.
they can tie that series up, we haven't had this type of competitive edge or looking forward to a series in the Eastern Conference Finals in quite some time.
Been a while.
So I mean, this is an oddity to me.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun seeing them. All right, let's move to some football talk. We're going to talk NFL now, family. We're going to go over to the NFL. We're going to cover all the scores. We're going to kind of do it in an expedited order. But first, before we do that, I want to be able to give a shout out to the family members joining us in the live stream that are supporting the TSC Unleashed stream. As big ups to the rest of the family members chiming in. We got Cheryl. Who that to you, Cheryl? Good to see you, baby, in the chat. Kai the Great in the building. Brother JT. And the rest of the family. Adam Scott, good to see you in the chat. J-Rock once again. Ferg 318, Brother Jerry in the building. Tragic 504 in the building. What's up, fam? Travis Johnson, what's up, fam? Pelicans Nola, what's going on, fam? Revolt Control in the building. What up, Revolt? Good to see you, family. Big ups to you. Neville Lewis, good to see you in the chat as well. And Dwayne Randolph, I see you, family. Good to see you in the chat as well. Big ups to the family members supporting the stream. Tyra, what up, Tyra? Good to see you, baby. Brian Pearson, good up to you. Yoram Peter, what up, fam? Good to see you in the chat as well. Appreciate you checking out the stream. All right, now let's keep it going. Well, just a little programming though, just to let the family members know. At 5 o'clock, we coming at y'all with the TSC virtual tailgate. That's right, the virtual tailgate is in the building. It'll be 2 hours before the actual game. It gives you plenty of time to hop in. Let me know what you're cooking on. Tell me your thoughts on what happens in this game. TSC virtual tailgate 2 hours before the game, then after the game, we come with the recap. So, you know, we're going to be in the building with you for the summation of the night. We ain't going to be with you during the game, but we'll be with you before and after the game. So just to let the family members know, big ups to you, John Thompson and Jay Savava as well. Big ups to the family members. All right, now let's peruse into the NFL scores that happened yesterday. We'll break out some of the games. Uncle Mozzie, let's start with the Chicago Bears. We got a lot of games to come, but we're going to have to kind of move up, you know, kind of quick. But the Bears and the Giants, man, that was an interesting matchup. The Giants, Daniel Jones sometimes look like he has it, sometimes he doesn't. It was pretty competitive until it got late in the contest. They tried to make a late run at it, didn't work. Mitch Trubisky feeling Nick Foles' bread on his neck has continued to step up. Trubisky, he's stepping up. He did what he had to do. His Chicago Bear team is 2-0. Trubisky 18 of 28, 190 yards, had 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions as well. He was sacked 4 times in the matchup, had a QBR of 52.2. Dave Montgomery, 16 carries, 82 yards rushing for them in this matchup as well. And then if you look at some of the, not too much on the wide receiver game, you've seen Darnell Mooney. He caught a touchdown, 3 catches for 36 yards, 3 catches, 45 yards for Montgomery on their end. And then you go over to what the Giants did. Daniel Jones, 25 of 40, 241, an interception that will hurt. Saquon Hampton, 4 carries, 28 yards, done. ACL. We'll cover that after the scores. We'll talk about the injuries as well. Their top dude, Evan Ingram, 6 catches, 65 yards. Uncle Mozzie, Bears 2-0, 17-13 over the Giants. Quickly, what's your thought?
Hey, look, I'll tell you, when I go to churches, right? You know the best part about churches, bro? Not the chicken, not the fried corn on the cob. You know what it is?
They got corn on the cob?
The biscuit. The biscuit.
Oh, okay.
The honey butter biscuit. And the biscuit is balling. The biscuit feel that breath on his neck, and he knows he sees dead people. He gotta go out there and do something because this is his last go around. I'm sure he loves being a starting quarterback in his league, but you know they own him, and he's got to produce, or he'll be playing or start his career as a journeyman throughout the league for the next decade. That's the junction that he's at. The guy that's behind him is already a journeyman, although he won a Super Bowl. This is crazy. So the biscuit is balling. I told you the biscuit was gonna ball. And you know the best part about it all? He's on my fantasy. And I knew he was gonna ball out.
Well, it's good to see Trubisky do something, man. I mean, at least do something.
The biscuit.
You know, let's see if he can maintain that intensity. And before we jump on to the next subject, Maz, I have one question for you, brother.
Biscuits and gravy. Yes.
No. Is churches still selling corn on the cob?
They still sell corn on the cob, wrapped in a little yellow plastic now.
With the butter on it and all that?
With the butter on it, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
None of it is good as the biscuits.
That's true. Them honey butter biscuits is pretty good. Anyway, I'm getting hungry.
The honey butter biscuits.
I'm getting hungry, bro. Let's keep it going, man. Next matchup is the best matchup, in my opinion, of the afternoon. We should have did this one last, but I'm doing it next because it's so funny. The Cowgirls took on the Atlanta Falcons yesterday in Jerry's World. And man, didn't you think that the Falcons was on their way to a win in this one? Not so fast, my friend, says Lee Corso. Matt Ryan finished 24 of 36. He had 273 yards, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns for the man. Ty Gurley, 21 carries, 61 yards average, just under 3 yards a carry. 7 catches for Calvin Ridley, 109, had 2 touchdowns. I told y'all, Ridley coming. He's going to replace Julio, who had 2 catches for 24 yards and a big-ass drop that could have turned into a touchdown. That could have kind of put them out ahead. As opposed, I think they just, they still got the score anyway with Ridley. But anyway, going to Dallas side, Dak Prescott, 34 of 47, 450 yards, 1 touchdown. Zeke Elliott, 22 carries, 89 yards, 1 touchdown. Dak Prescott was responsible for 3 touchdowns with his legs. He had 5 carries, 18 yards, 3 touchdowns. Shame on you, Atlanta Falcon defense, for allowing that to happen in a matchup. Top wide receiver CeeDee Lamb was balling, 6 catches, 106. Amari Cooper, 6 catches, 100. You know, they was doing their thing. Even the tight end Dalton Schultz got busy in it. 9 catches, 88 yards, 1 score. Dallas came down. It came down to a special team play. Atlanta, too stupid to fall on the special team on the play. They done that. They secured the game. Instead, they let the ball go to travel 10 yards. Dallas gets it, marches up the field and able to kick a field goal to kick the Falcons into an 0-2 start. Absolutely loving it. Mozzie, what's your thoughts on this Three Stooges as display of football by the Falcons?
Well, I tell you what, between Marv Lewis and Dan Quinn, I don't know who has the secret of the equation of life or the life equation, but one of them got to have it, because those are the only 2 coaches I've seen under monumental collapses over a long period of time still retain a job. Amazing. Okay, fam, this is the same Dan Quinn who's been blown out. I mean, who's had a large lead and then saw that lead absorbed or absolved and went away in a matter of seconds, in a matter of minutes. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, why is Arthur Blank still have this guy? You know, they took the play calling from him. They relegated his role to just a game manager. They did that like 2 seasons ago. Why is he still here? I do not understand.
I say keep him. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. How could he still? How is it possible for most people, players, coaches, owners? They may go through a monumental collapse like this, like the Super Bowl, once in their life. To me, this was worse than the Super Bowl. Why? Because at least you had gotten to the Super Bowl, and for all intents and purposes, you lost, whatever. But you got to the dance. You had a great season, and you did come in second place. But it was still something you can hold you hold your head up about, that you had a great season. When you come out now, you're 0-2. You're 0-2, and the second loss came off of a outright 20-point collapse when all you had to do was manage the game. The same thing that we kept you on for, Mr. Quinn, to manage the game. All you had to do was manage the game, and this would never have been a thing.
Wow. Absolutely, man. Just terrible, man. Terrible display of football, man. By the Falcons, but I'm loving it.
Greg the Leg did his thing yesterday, though. That's right. My nomination.
Right. I was going to, we're going to get that Zerline. You told me about Zerline and how you really appreciate the fact that he kicked them old rotten Falcons out of there. But anyway, let's move on to the next matchup. Tennessee versus the Jaguars. Tennessee got a win last week. They're trying to feel like they're trying to get another win this week. But Jacksonville got a win last week. First game of the season, they went 1-1. Now they're facing the Tennessee Titans with that loss. And it was a pretty close one. Gardner Minshew actually stepped up and played 30 out of 45. He had 339 yards, 3 touchdowns, responsible for 2 interceptions. Can't turn the ball over. Ryan Tannehill in the matchup looked really, really crisp. 18 of 24, 239. He had 4 touchdowns in the game. They did hold Derrick Henry under 100 yards. He had 25 carries for 84 yards, and he kept him out of the end zone. But Tannehill, man, he did what he was supposed to do in this matchup, finding Jonnu Smith 4 times for 84 yards, a couple of scores there. Adam Humphries had 5 catches, 48 yards with a score as well, as the Tennessee Titans take a very close one. They were able to fend off a Jacksonville team that were roaring back in the fourth quarter. Jacksonville put 13 up and was marching on Tennessee. They ultimately shut them down, and they win the game. Tennessee's 2-0 now, 33-33. Mozzie, quick breakdown on this one.
Hey, man, Tennessee is for real. I think we had that conversation beginning of the season. I don't know if it was on air or not, but Tennessee is for real, man. I know they came on late last year, and nobody saw them coming. We didn't really get to watch their games. They had Tannehill, who had a miserable failed outing in Miami, so they kind of went under the radar, and nobody paid them any attention until that playoff run, a really deep playoff run, when they knocked off both the number 1 and number 2 guys in the AFC. So, hey, to me, Tennessee is going to be there as long as they keep doing what they're doing. And what I like about them, they're not a cute team. They don't try to overdo it or try to do something they're not capable of doing to try something or to switch it up because they're bored with it, or I'm not getting the ball enough, or one of those. Corey Davis is probably the only guy that has issues because of where he was drafted at as a receiver, and he hasn't panned out to be the number 1 guy. Outside of that, I don't really see an issue as far as ego on either side of the ball, offense or defense. Coaching seems to be well intact. They're a really well coached team, and they play to the strengths of their strengths. They don't try to enhance their weaknesses or worry about what someone else is doing. They go out, strap up every Sunday, and play Tennessee Titans football, and that's what's gotten them this far.
2-0 Titans on the season, man. They get another good win there as they moving forward into the season. On to another matchup, the San Francisco 49ers, the New York Jets. Niners 31-13 over the listless Jets. They dropped 0-2. The 49ers get the first win of the season, and they dropped 1-1, but it came at a cost. Several really high-impact players for the 49ers are dealing with injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo, 14 of 16, 131, 2 touchdowns before he was knocked out of the game. And then you had Raheem Mostert, 8 carries for 92 yards. He opened up with the long 80-yard run out the gate for a touchdown. He was also having issues as well in the game as Tevin Coleman came in and tried to finish up the matchup. And then, of course, you look at the 49ers top receiving jet, Jordan Reed, 7 catches for 50 yards, 2 scores from Garoppolo. And, of course, you look at with Bosa, who also was knocked out of the game with issues as well. And we'll cover all of these injuries on the back end. In a losing effort, Sam Darnold, 21 of 32, 179, 1 touchdown. They couldn't get too much going, even though Frank Gore, 21 carries, 63 yards in the matchup. It wasn't enough, not even close, as the 49ers knocked the hell out of the Jets, 31-13, to move on to next week. Five, quick on this one.
Well, we already knew. We talked about the injuries, I think midweek last week on the show, and we knew that San Francisco, Dallas, and a couple other teams were really up against it with injuries. And the issue that you have when you have a team full of questionable people, some of those people are bound to convert from questionable to really injured and out. That's where they've been. I do not know. I don't know if they went really hard in practice, but I know they had an extended period of time off. So either they went extremely hard in practice, or their body just the same thing we were talking about to the 16-year-old kid. These players play at such a high intense level that if your body isn't in tip-top peak conditioning and shape, you're gonna come across these nagging injuries, and the nagging injuries will even, trust me, my pinky finger will not connect to the rest of my hand today because of a nagging injury that got progressively worse and worse and worse. This is what happens. Your shoulder opens up or your ankle opens up after you play. It warms up and you play through it. But, take it from me, a 300-pound guy hitting another 300-pound guy 25 times, 30 times, 40 times a game, it begins to take a toll on you. And if you're not properly treated and you're just getting shot up or taped up or wrapped up for the injury, eventually those injuries become switch from nag to real, and then you go from questionable to out. And that's what we see in a lot of these teams across the NFL. They're just not in football shape because they weren't afforded the opportunities to. So they've got to play their way into shape. And with that being said, they need Lady Luck to kind of bounce on their side so that they won't get injured while trying to get their bodies in that type of peak physical conditioning that it'll take for them to sustain a 16-game season. By the way, there was no preseason. By the way, the players and the owners and the fans that want to eliminate the preseason, this is why you have a preseason. Before I go play a 4-quarter game, I play a quarter at a time so I can get my body used to it. And I go out and play 4-quarter games.
Indianapolis and Minnesota's next up. 28-11 is Indianapolis was able to beat Minnesota, which are 0-2 starting the year off. Once again, Kirk Cousins looked like crap in this game. Phillip Rivers, the old man, 19 of 25, 214 yards, had a touchdown, 1 interception. He wasn't all that great, but he did enough to beat Cousins, who basically beat himself. Jonathan Taylor, former back out of Wisconsin, 26 carries, 101 yards, had a touchdown. Looked pretty good with their top back missing time. And of course, some of the top wide receivers for them, Mo Alley Cox, 5 catches, 111. And then there was Michael Pittman Jr., the former Arizona State guy, 4 catches, 37 yards as well to help their squad up. Cousins, 11 of 26, 111. Had 111 yards yesterday, 3 interceptions, sacked 3 times, had a QBR of 9.3. He stunk. Devin Cook, 14 carries, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 3 catches, 44 yards. And Thielen, 3 catches, 31 yards. Colts had them all locked on. It was self-check. 28-11. Colts over Vikings. Mozzie.
I don't know what's going on with this Minnesota team. It's definitely not the same Minnesota team that finished off the season last year, that beat us and sent us packing.
We basically beat ourselves.
It might have a little something to do with a guy by the name of Stephon Diggs. Remember that guy that I told you was a pivotal part of this Minnesota team? That you told me, yo, that guy ain't nothing.
That ain't got nothing to do with Stephon Diggs. That got everything to do with the guy throwing the ball.
Okay, well, look, the proof is there. When Stephon was doing, my guy was there.
If Stephon was there, Mozzie, they'd still be losing. You know that.
Hey, he sent us packing twice in his short, unillustrious career.
Don't get me started on that. All right, let's move to the next one. We got the Bills against the Dolphins. A pretty intriguing game there, man. It went a little back and forth toward the end. Dolphins thought they was going to get the first win of the season. The Bills said, Josh Allen, 24 of 35, 417 yards. That's right, 417. 4 touchdown passes on the day. Devin Singletary, 10 carries, 56 yards, led the rushing attack. Stephon Diggs, Uncle Mozzie's top favorite wide receiver, not Mike Thomas, mind you. Stephon Diggs had 8 catches, 153, 1 touchdown on that. So not bad performance by Stephon Diggs. 4 catches for John Brown, 4 for 82, and a score. And on the other side of things, Fitzpatrick, 31 to 47, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then we look at not much of a running game there. Myles Gaskin was their top back, 7 carries, 46 yards. Gesicki, the tight end, 8 catches, 130, 1 touchdown with that. Isaiah Ford, 7 catches, 76 yards. And of course, 5 from Devontae Parker, 53 yards and a touchdown. 31-28 in the final minutes. Buffalo, 2-0. Dolphins, 0-2. Thoughts on this one, Mozzie?
Well, got to find out what Stephon's middle name is, because right now, I think it's Ulysses, and it stands for Stephon. You dig? Look, bro, this dude is amazing. Can you repeat that stat for me one time from Stephon? You did?
I care not to do it, Uncle Mozzie.
8 catches for 153 and a top? Come on, bro. That's Michael Thomas. That's Michael Thomas-ish, if I do say so myself.
Don't even try it. Not even close. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. We got the Rams-Eagles matchup. Rams, I didn't think they'll come out the gate 2-0. I'm not going to kid you. I thought the Rams would struggle this year. They've shown me up. They're 2-0 right now, and they get a 37-19 win over Philadelphia. Once again, Uncle Mozzie, Philadelphia is falling through the flow. D-Mac, where you at? Your Philly team suck, D-Mac. D-Mac, where you at? Your Philly team suck, D-Mac. Carson Wentz, 25 out of 43 at 242 yards, 2 interceptions. Miles Sanders, 20 carries for 95 yards, had a score. Deshaun Jackson was their top guy with 6 catches, 64 yards. Zach Ertz, 5 catches, 42 yards. Jalen Reagor, 4 catches, 41 yards. No touchdowns from none of them dudes. Bottom line, going over to Golf. Golf, 20 of 27, 267, 3 touchdowns on the night. Their top back was Darrell Henderson Jr., 12 carries, 81 yards. Cooper Kupp, 5 catches, 81 yards. Tyler Higbee, 5 catches, 54 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns for Tyler Higbee yesterday for the Rams. Knock off the Eagles 37-19. Eagles are 0-2. What's your thought on that?
Eagles are who they are. I mean, they haven't been the same since their playoff run. The Eagles are a dumpster fire. And, I mean, I don't know, man. I think this is the issue when you sign these supposed generational talents that's going to turn your franchise around. Like Carson Wentz. To me, I've never seen it. People speak highly of him. I mean, yes, he did have shimmers of greatness, but it was just a shimmer. Just because something shimmer doesn't mean it's a diamond. Philadelphia is a dumpster fire. They will probably finish second in the East only because there are 3 other dumpster fires in that division. So they're probably the second brightest dumpster fire there besides Dallas. So it'll more than likely be the Cowboys, Philly, whatever Washington is going by now. And then pulling up the rear would be the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know. Philadelphia, to me, they're really struggling, but something tells me they'll catch fire some kind of way and kind of make it competitive. I don't see them crashing through the flow this early. Some kind of way, they got too much veteran experience on their team to let that happen. They'll make it competitive. All right, let's go through the rest of the games here. Going to talk about, of course, the Steelers 26-21 win over the Broncos. And of course, we know about Drew Luck going down with his injury. Ben Roethlisberger 29-41, 311, 2 touchdowns. The Terminator, James Conner, 16 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. Deontay Johnson was the top threat there, 8 catches, 92 yards in the score. As the Steelers take a 26-21 win, they're 2-0 as well. Panthers against old man Tom Brady, Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to get a win over two-glove Teddy holding the damn ball too much. 31-17 in the matchup. They get their first win of the season. Teddy Bridgewater, 31 of 42 in the matchup. 367 yards. That sounds good, but only one thing. Teddy threw 2 interceptions in the matchup holding the ball. McCaffrey knocked out of the game. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. We'll tell you why. 18 carries for 59 yards, had 2 touchdowns in the matchup. DJ Moore, 8 catches, 120. Robbie Anderson, 9 catches, 109. Mike Davis had 8 for 74 in the matchup. Not enough. Tom Brady, the top dog in this one, 23 out of 35, 217, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Leonard Fournette got going for the running attack for the Buccaneers. 12 carries, 103 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns for Leonard Fournette in this one. Mike Evans, 7 catches, 104, 1 touchdown. Boy, what a difference a week make when Laddie Daddy not guarding your ass. And that's big. He had 7 catches, 104, and 1 touchdown as Tampa Bay moved ahead with the win over the Panthers, who dropped in a hole 0-2. The Whataburger team, Washington, they took on the Cardinals. No problems there. Cardinals took them apart 30-15. Kyler Murray, hands and feet, were able to beat this team. 26 of 38 for 286 yards, 1 touchdown. Kenyon Drake was their top rusher with 20 carries for 86 yards. And Terry McLaurin, the Washington wide receiver, had 7 catches for 125. For Haskell, not enough, 30-15. Chief matchup. Chiefs were able, in a battle between, it came down, Patrick Mahomes boy was trying to put everything, try to push this team out. The Chargers said not so fast. Tyrod Taylor was inactive at the start of the game. Justin Herbert came in and played well, 22 of 33. Several rookie mistakes really cost him in this matchup. Had he cleaned up some mistakes, ran as opposed to threw that interception, and turned the right way as opposed to when he went to hand the ball off, he turned the wrong way stuff like that he'll have to work out. But nope, there's no controversy there. Tyrod Taylor gets his job back according to Coach Lynn when he comes back. Mahomes, 27 of 47, 2 touchdowns. He also ran 6 times for 54 yards. Did y'all see Patrick Mahomes boys taking off on him? He's the top rusher. Tyreek Hills was phenomenal in this one. 5 catches, 99 yards. 1 scored. Travis Kelce, 9 catches, 90 yards, 1 score. You can't make a lot of mistakes against this team, although the Chargers did play all right. But it wasn't enough as they made several mistakes, and guess what? They made them pay for it. So Chiefs 2-0, moving on in the matchup. And of course, in Miles, I want you to get flashback to any one of these once I'm going over them. Ravens 33-16 over the Texans. Texans knocked off big by the Chiefs. Now they was knocked off by the Ravens. They're 0-2 in the hole. Deshaun Watson 25 of 36, 275, 1 touchdown in the matchup, but that's pretty much the only bright spot you won't talk about. It's the Lamar Jackson show, 18 of 24, 204 yards, 1 touchdown. Top guy was Gus Edwards, 10 carries for 73 yards. Ingram had 9 rushes for 55 yards in the score. Marquise Brown, 5 catches for 42 yards. Miles Boykin, 4 for 38 in the matchup. The Baltimore Ravens get the win over those stinking Texans. 0-2 now. Texans in the hole, 0-2. And of course, the Sunday night matchup would have put the Seahawks, against the Patriots in the matchup. And Russell Westbrook, man. What can I tell you about Russell Westbrook, man? Cam thought he was the man. Russell shit. No, you're still marching way behind me. 30 of 44 for Cam in the matchup, 397 at a touchdown and a pick. He was their top rusher as well, 11 carries for 47 yards, had 2 rushing touchdowns with his legs. Dude's phenomenal. Julian Elderman was the top weapon for them. But, man, Seattle, Russell Wilson was awesome. 21 of 28, 288, 5 touchdowns for Russell Wilson. Chris Carson, 17 carries for 72 yards. DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 92 yards in the score. Tyler Lockett, 7 catches, 67 yards in the score. Boy, it was phenomenal. And Russell Wilson, man, saying, listen, don't forget about my Seahawks. We still in the building as well. Mozzie, that was a lot we talked about. Now, you can feel free to bounce into any one of those and discuss what you want before we go into the injury news.
All right. Well, first off, I just want to jump off into Teddy Silveri. So let's so first off, 41 passes or 41 attempts for Teddy is just way too much. So when you tell me about these interceptions, I can tell you the interceptions came because he passed probably 15 to 20 times more than I would like Teddy Bridgewater to pass in a game. That could have been because McCaffrey went down. I don't know. But with a quarterback like Bridgewater, you want him to be in that 20, 27 attempt per game. Not asking him to do too much, at least until he feels his way back into a true starting role and is comfortable with Carolina being his team. But the last 4 or 5 seasons, he's had several different coaches, several different coordinators. So, he's a young kid still. He's not an old, wily veteran quarterback. He's never really had a chance to get off in this league. So to transition him to saying, okay, this is going to be my guy moving forward the next 5, 6, 7 years, you have to, number one, get him some help, which I know that doesn't come overnight. But what can happen is you've got a scheme for him to best complement his attributes. You got game tape from Louisville. You got game tape from Minnesota. You got game tape from last year. That was 3 places he was successful. He was successful in Louisville. He was successful his rookie year campaign in Minnesota. And he was successful for a 5, 6, 8 game stint down here last year. How could this guy have all of this film under him where you see how you can really utilize him and you still implement a game plan that has nothing to do with any of his strengths? Can't understand it. Can't wrap my mind around it. Moving forward to the Dolphins and Bills, Fitzpatrick, for all intents and purposes, did what he had to do. He did have a brain fart here and there, but it's Fitzpatrick. I do, like you and I had discussed, I do believe Tua would have been good for 7 points, 7 to 10 points alone with his own, under his own vices. But that's not to say that those 7 to 10 points will have been accompanied with an additional 18 points to even get to 28. So yeah, we could add 2 or 7 onto the back end of the 28 and pretend that was it, but we just don't know. I think what I do believe is what you and I talked about is if you're already 0-2, which is going to probably come down to the next game, if you're already 0-2 and facing 0-3, it's time to put some kind of spark. There's no ego there with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick understands he's going to be a journeyman quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the new, what's his guy? He played for the Jets. He played for everybody, but his last team was the Jets. I think he's like an assistant coach or something now. He was a journeyman quarterback throughout the league, stayed there like 20 years. But yeah, this is the new journeyman quarterback. That's his role, and I think that he should embrace it and learn to accept it. And they got to get Tua out there and at least get his feet wet so that they can begin rebuilding this franchise. You can't. I mean, they did it with Kyler Murray. They did it with Andrew Luck. I mean, it's the same situation. Very rarely do you have the luxury of holding a quarterback back and allowing him to study. And the thing of it is, when you do that, you normally do that under a great quarterback. What can Tua learn from Ryan Fitzpatrick? How to buy houses in different cities because he keeps getting traded? That's a good, but other than that, to play an NFL, to be an NFL quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not the guy who he needs to tutor Tua. That's not gonna work. Vikings, you just need Stephon Diggs, and that situation to be, back to what it was, but that can't happen, obviously. So sorry, Vikings, you're lost. Washington, same thing. You got to get rid of Daniel Snyder. You got to really what they really need to do is just take a big giant bulldozer, right under FedEx Stadium or FedEx Field, dig all of it up with Snyder and everybody in it, right, and then just dump it in the ocean. Ravens and Texans. Didn't expect this from the Texans, but I mean, everybody was so high on Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is the next coming. Deshaun Watson. Well, I think Brother Lamar had something to say about that. So Lamar says, no, I'm not ready to give you the title yet. I am the next. I am the future. I am the best quarterback in this league, with the exception of Mahomes. And depending on your preference, the jury is out on that. Chiefs Chargers. I think the Chiefs did just enough to win. They played to the level of their competition. I think they may have had a game plan implemented, but couldn't quite go forward with their game plan once Tyrod Taylor got put down, because now enters a rookie who you don't have game film on and you don't know his tendencies, what he likes to do, what he doesn't like to do, what makes him uncomfortable. You just don't know. So then you begin playing free-for-all football, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and making game time on field and sideline adjustments. Patriots and Seahawks, Sea Chickens. 35-30, I think Cam did a really good job. I think this is squarely on the shoulders of the defense. Listen, it's no secret. If you want to win in this league, you've got to have a top 15 defense that's capable of holding opponents, because this is the 2020 campaign, but you got to have a defense capable of holding people under 20 points. If you can get a defense to hold your opponents under 3 touchdowns, the probability of you winning in this league is really high, because most good teams are averaging 28, 35 points a game. So if you can hold your opponent to 20 or under, you should be fine. 35 for the Sea Chickens is just way too much. I don't care who you got, Russell Westbrook, Joe Montana, Steve Young, don't matter. 35 is just too much. Patriots got to do a better job on defense to turn this season around.
Absolutely, yeah. The issue with Miami, I mean, you're 0-2. You might as well throw 2 in there and let him go. You mean to tell me he couldn't do no worse than what Fitzmagic was doing? I know it's not totally on Fitzmagic. They don't have much of a running attack or whatnot, but listen, that guy is not going to keep that job as a head coach very long. I mean, remember what happened to the guy in Arizona? One season he was out of there to the next high coach. And let me tell you something. There are rumors circulating in the league about Dabo Sweeney. It'll be a situation where the Jaguars or some team that's willing to give Sweeney an opportunity to be a head coach in the pros, and they could end up getting a guy like Trevor Lawrence, and that's Jacksonville. But there's a lot that can happen, especially in today's world. So if you have Tua, stop playing around and put him in the game, stupid. All right, that's why the Dolphins are such a joke, man. They're such a joke. Anyway, let's keep it moving. On to the football news. Deion Sanders introduces the football coach of Jackson State University. That's right, Prime Time is in the building. And Prime Time says he introduces the new Jackson State football coach Monday with a ceremony that fittingly involved a marching band, a motorcade. 53-year-old Sanders, his first coaching foray at the college level. Deion says, I'm truly blessed to be the 21st head coach of Jackson State University. Sanders said in the school statement Monday, it is my desire to continue the storied tradition and history of JSU and prayerfully bring more national recognition to the athletes, the university, the sonic boom of the South, and HSBCUs in general. After a decorated playing career that landed him in Carleton that included 9 years in major leagues, the former NFL network analyst has been coaching high school football in Texas for much of the past decade. He's currently the offensive coordinator in Trinity Christian School, a role he relinquished after the fall as Jackson State prepares for a spring season amid the C-19 situation. So Sanders taking the job. He got a reclamation project on his hand with JSU. The Tigers went 4-8 last year and haven't had a winning season since 2013. So Prime Time has to do some recruiting. Prime Time has to get it together. And let me tell you something, Prime Time, just between me and you, if you're gonna be riding around the streets of Jackson, make sure you have shocks on your car because it is absolutely horrible up there. All my Jackson people know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about. Them streets up there, man, let me tell you, every last one of them politicians need to be thrown in the clink, I'm telling you. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic of discussion. And we're talking injuries now. Giants confirmed that Saquon Hampton, that's right, running back Saquon Hampton, suffered a torn ACL, which will require surgery, done for the year. Denver Bronco wide out, Cortland Sutherland out for the season, torn ACL, done for the year. You know, it's absolutely crazy, all of the stuff that happened. And plus you have the injury that occurred, Mozzie, with Christian McCaffrey, high ankle sprain, 4 to 6 weeks. Man, let me tell you something, a lot of big injuries occurred yesterday. Of course, the update and more injuries has become what happened with Garoppolo and Bosa and all these other guys. It's too many to even make mention of. Drew Lock, 3 to 5 weeks with a rotator cuff strain. All this is going on. And you mentioned about not having a preseason and helping these guys get acclimated to a physical season. But if truth be told, if you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt, whether it's in the regular season or the preseason. That's why most of the pros are held out of the preseason until the regular season. But, you know, having a camp countdown, I get you on the scrimmages and all that because you kind of controlling the physicality of that. But I get what you're saying on that. Overall view of the injuries that occurred in week number 2. And let me throw this. Well, and let me throw this on top of that. Will you see that same trend in week 3?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that same trend probably through week 4 or 5. It's going to be on the luck of the draw. Listen, it's no secret. When I played season end for us in December, right? November, December. So at that point around Christmas, I'm eating turkeys, hams, like whole turkeys, whole hams, whatever they got, greens, it don't matter, yams, everything, right? Then comes Mardi Gras, then comes Easter, I'm having crawfish bits, I'm doing whatever I want to do, right? But I know I'm going to pay for it in April. I'm going to pay for it late March. I'm going to pay for it in April. I'm going to pay for it in May. And when those tour days start, middle of June, I'm going to pay for it all the way through the end of July. Then we get into base practice. Then our game's going to start around late August, early September. So you understand how that works? I got to pretty much do everything I wanted to do from the time of season into Christmas all the way to April or so, right? It was just all me. At that point, it became all them. So I was able to pay for it way ahead of time. Now just imagine had I not had April, May, June, July, and then all of a sudden I'm coming into August with now instead of having just that 3 or 4 months worth of doing anything I want to do, can't control myself, a little out of control, young. So now that 3 or 4 months is turned into 7 or 8 months. I'm completely out of shape, nowhere near football shape, especially early on. See, it's okay when October, November, December, but August, September, when that field time temp is 100, 120 degrees, and you chasing around dudes and somebody just as big as you, just as physical and as strong as you, running into you every single play, that takes a toll on the body. The body has to prepare itself for it. Yeah, there are people that can walk on hot coals. I'm not one of them. And the people that can do it, I guarantee you've been doing it for all their life. The body has to experience repetition in order to adapt. And whatever the body is doing, if it's not been in motion, what's the phrase? The body in motion tends to stay in motion. The body that's not in motion tends to fall apart. You gotta have that. I understand what the players are saying. I think it's more monetarily driven for the players because they don't get paid for the preseason like they get paid for the regular season. However, it is a game, and I think it was like a pay issue going on. But you're gonna see on every level, look for big injuries in college, big injuries in high school, and big injuries in pros because the body has to adapt and become accustomed to that. You can't just walk out right now, line up, and let somebody your size run into you full speed 20 times. It just won't work. Think of where would your body be if you and Black Benson got down in the 3-point stands and just ran into each other for 20 times. You remember that time y'all came out to the house and we were playing touch football in the middle of the street, and then y'all couldn't move the next day because y'all had to prove to y'allself who could check who.
I don't know if you remember that or not, but I could move. I was up and moving.
And guess what? Benson was bedridden for a week because he ran an ugly black, this charcoal black. I was just, oh, throw the ball to me, I got him, throw it deep. And he couldn't move for a week. Man, the body is a very, very sensitive thing. It's got to be tuned properly. And if it's not tuned properly, if you're not putting the right nutrients in it, and you're not getting the right amount of hydration and water, and you're not getting the proper amount of exercise, those things are critical when you're asking a guy to play at such a high level. I don't see a way that they get around this rather than just they got to play through it.
Yeah, we'll see how it shake, man. But this athlete's job, you making millions, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars as a professional athlete. You would think a portion of that money would go toward the upkeep of your body and the preparation of what you need to go through. So there's trainers and all that. Most people don't spend all day training. That's their job, and we understand that, and we know it's a difficulty. And I agree with you. It's just something that we're gonna have to deal with, man. Moving into the season, we'll see how it goes. But I guarantee you one thing: the team that acclimates to it the best is gonna win this. That's going to end up winning the playoffs. I tell you what. Anyway, let's keep it going here into the college ranks. Now that we got out of the football talk, we're gonna move into college football now, and I'm gonna go over the top 25 as it stands. Not too much going on. Clemson, number 1 ranked in the country. I don't see how that is possible, but they consistently are. 49-0 over Citadel. That Notre Dame destroyed South Florida 50 to Citadel. That's you talk about a preseason game. Notre Dame 52-0 over South Florida. Oklahoma State 16. They're ranked number 11th in the nation. They took apart Tulsa. Well, not took apart them. They actually won. They scored 13 points in the fourth quarter to ultimately take the game. 16-7 over Tulsa. Cincinnati, 13 ranked in the country, destroyed Austin Peay 55-20. USC ranked 14th in the nation, 49-21 over Georgia Tech in the matchup. Miami in a really interesting matchup with them in Louisville, 17 ranked in the nation. They were able to beat the 18th ranked Louisville team 47-34. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns had a really spicy affair against Georgia State, 34-31. Louisiana, remember the Raging Cajuns are ranked number 19 in the country. So let's give it up for the Raging Cajuns. 17-7 Marshall over 23rd ranked Appalachian State in a bit of an upset. And then you're looking at Pittsburgh, 25th in the nation, were able to beat the Syracuse Orangemen 21-10 in college scores. Now, of course, Bob, this is your opportunity to be heard. Saints and the Raiders tonight in Las Vegas is going down in a matter of hours. The TSC virtual tailgate will be popping at 5 o'clock. That's in a couple hours. You have an opportunity right now, my friend, to chime in and tell the rest of the Great Saint Think Tank and the Who Dat Nation what happens in this matchup.
I think Saints win 31-17. I think Las Vegas, they're a really well coached team. We don't see them a lot. We didn't see them last year a lot. We didn't get a chance to see that progression, but man, I think at quarterback is probably the weakest spot that they have right now. But like from top to bottom, man, and it's not all that weak. It's just he's the great value card, so nobody respects him. But from top to bottom, man, this is a high quality organization. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. I think the Saints will make the proper adjustments to kind of figure it out and eke out the victory. But I think that it's going to have to be special teams. I think it'll come down to defense. I don't think it's just going to be a battle where it's just going to be, a shootout where I'm going to score, you're going to score, I'm going to score, you're going to score. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it'll be more of a defensive battle that people think for at least the first quarter and a half before the Saints kind of find a rhythm, because the Saints typically don't do well against AFC West teams for whatever the reason is. I don't know. The Raiders don't get to see NFC opponents, especially of this caliber, often. So, I mean, it's going to be some growing pains on both sides. It's really going to come down to who can make the adjustments first. Now, if this was a regular, average poo-putt coach, then yeah, I'd probably be nervous. But this is Gruden that we're talking about. Gruden is just as savvy. He's been around longer than Sean Payton. He's a winning coach. He's got a really good track record. He's a student of the game. He was an analyst for years when he went into the booth after he stepped off the field. So this is not a guy that he's going up against as in his first or second year coaching, or a guy that just doesn't traditionally have winning ways. So it's really going to come down to who can make the adjustments first, especially with the absence of Mike Thomas. I think the Saints have to kind of figure it out and move around. I think that the injury thing can possibly come into play, but ultimately, I think because they're playing indoors, I think it's that same artificial type turf that they play on. I think it'll make it a lot easier for them to get off on their plays and stuff, because they'll still be playing on a natural, a artificial turf, or like that turf grass hybrid thing that they got going on. So when you look at all those things, I think the Saints are slightly better than them. I think the defense or special team chimes in with a touchdown, but I think offense to offense, the Saints are good enough to beat them by 7. Tack on another 7 from either special teams or the defense, and I think the Saints win this one 31-17.
It'll be interesting. You have to shut down. Gruden likes to run the ball. He's still old school. He likes to run the ball and play defense. He also likes to throw the ball around. Derek Carr, is not a quarterback that a lot of people will put in higher regard. He can get it done. His accuracy has gotten better. He can definitely throw the deep ball. Wide receiver, Ruggs has an injury. Jacobs, the big running back, we'll see how they deal. Waller is the X factor, the tight end. We got to watch out for him. Also, Witten, he might want to use his tight ends in this one. We have to take that away from him. Make this team one-dimensional and put pressure on Carr. And remember, he's not like Tom Brady. He can escape out the pocket. He can use his wheels and make moves. And just a little slight information on Carr is that Carr is actually the Raiders franchise leader in yards. He took down Kenny Stabler for that honor. So if that's anything, we know they ain't have a lot of super bad really throwers of the ball, but that just shows you that he's just not a Joe Everyman type quarterback. This kid is actually working on something. So can't take him lightly. That's right. The Las Vegas family, Saints Raiders tonight. Primetime matchup, 7 o'clock. TSC virtual tailgate in the building at 5. The recap after the game. So join us for the TSC virtual tailgate and the recap tonight on the show. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in on TSC Unleashed. That's right, on this one, as we talked about. Covered a lot. We had a lot. We talked about the NBA, all of the scores and all that kind of stuff, and college as well. Jam-packed show. I appreciate you guys for joining us. And Uncle Paulie, Pelican, Nola, GM Kev. Good to see you in the chat. Who else we got? Seth Scott, Tramal. Who else we got there? John Thompson. Good to see you, family. Revolt Control. Saints Uptown. I see you, family. Big ups to you. Thank you for joining us in this one. Ferg 318, J Rock. Who else we got here? All the family members. Tyra, Dwayne, Jerry, Brian. Let me see what else we got there. Thank you, Dwayne. I ain't see your super chat. Thank you for your super chat as well. Appreciate that, my friend. Thank y'all for joining us on this TSC. We'll see you in a matter of hours on TSC Virtual Tailgate. So big ups to the rest of the family members. Much love to you. We'll see you later. Peace.